Welcome back to the Young Turks on the Power Breakfast Show. Very heated during the break, I must tell you. Different discussions happening here, which I hope we'll be able to get for you at home to listen in on. Let me read a few SMSs that people have sent in here. Someone, Eva Donga, says she's 21 years old. She would like to state that it's time the youth stop saying they need to be empowered. She says, I have my business. I know a couple of friends that are graduates, but have never waited for the government to bring jobs to their doorsteps. No matter the government, no matter the leaders chosen, what matters is what you have as a vision individually. I will always urge people to be go-getters. Another one says, hi guys, my government has done nothing for me. Since I finished Form 4, kazi tu ni kwa vijana. I'm trying to raise my family, no good employment. I'm now admitted in hospital. I don't know who will pay my bills. My leaders are not helping me, and I think they're actually messaging us from Kenyatta Hospital. But someone else challenging young people saying, no young person has shown up at a government office with a vision and an entrepreneurship idea and has been chased away. But what we do is that these so-called youths are running around with certificates waiting for white-collar jobs, never seeing the bigger picture. And one other person says self-entitlement is undeserving. The youth need to get over that. You are born, you get an education. That's for those who can, afford. But of course, the government has, free primary education, and they now say they'll implement free secondary, and then hope a job walks up to you. That sort of attitude is embarrassing. Figure your lives out. That's what we are all trying to do. Good. Let's get your questions now. Who do we start with? Winnie, what was your question?
Yeah, Rafton is out here saying the government has created 835,000 jobs. My question is, where are these jobs?
Yes.
Are these jobs just concentrated in Jubilee areas? Because honestly, as a youth in this country, I'm not seeing these opportunities. And again, I think we need to demystify this thing that people saying the youth want to be given, the youth want. That's not what we are saying. The conditions have to be made favorable so that even if I want to empower myself, there are ways I can do that. You're talking about the youth enterprise. I've been seeing youth on the ground complaining very much because of the rather qualifications, or rather what is needed for me to access these funds.
Now, may I answer you?
Yes.
You asked me if they are tailor-made for Jubilee zones. I would answer you as somebody who was in the other zones, if I may to answer you. I was in a place called Nyamira, and let me give you a scenario. We would have funds, and the youth will come with that mentality that, I needed to have my house property being valued. Some would say maybe they needed my title deed and all that. We demystified that. We said just come as you are in a group of 5 to 10 and come with a good proposal and you're going to be funded. And we still had some youth who could not still take that in. It was too good to be true. So yes, I've been to areas like Nyamira, I've been to areas like Isiolo, Makueni, and Machakos too. So those are some of the loans we are giving out, and I can assure you it was creating employment. And we even had testimonials,
Okay.
People saying last year or 3 years ago, I got a loan for my salon, now I'm expanding it. Some would say...
Fair enough. I need to interrupt you because she needs to ask her question, and then I want to get reactions from Dan and Muthiora. Go ahead, Silantoi.
Okay, my question was just, how many people have benefited from this thing? That's my only question. I'd like to add on something. You see, we keep saying, yes, the youth are saying we are not waiting to be given or whatever, but we need to realize that there is a problem. Where the problem is, I am not sure. Probably it's the education system, because we have about 800,000 people who graduate from class 8. Then about 300,000 people graduate from Form 4. Then about 30,000 people graduate from universities. So all along, we are losing people. Secondly, there are not so many jobs in Kenya. There are about, you can give or take, about 8,000 jobs, formal jobs probably. But most of them will probably go to the informal sector and things like those. If you look deep into our education system, even these people who are graduating from universities, most employers complain that they are not employable, they are not good for the market. So what am I, as a graduate who has a degree, going to a market that can't accept my skills? What is that? Can't we change the system so that we see people who are getting into the market who are actually employable, or even not just employable, who can use their skills and get money to it? So you see, the problem is not that.
Or we get innovative.
the problem is not that.
Yes.
I'm saying the problem is probably our education system does not teach us enough to be able to have us to be innovative. Probably the education system needs to be further looked into.
Does the Kenyan business environment support innovation? Does it help encourage innovation?
Look, if you come up with something,
yes, say,
I say yes too.
You say yes, okay.
But have we been taught to be innovative? You see, you can't put a child in an environment where you have never, where this child has never been, and expect them to just survive. It will take some time. And you see, now that we are in this place where so many people can't find something to do, you can't tell me all these people are waiting to be employed. You can't tell me all these people have never tried to do a business.
Maybe the challenge is with that transitional period.
For how long?
For
how long? For how long? Because you see, we have to do something about this. We can't keep saying that we have to just to help ourselves. We can't. We have to look at the institutions first. Are the institutions training us to be what we are supposed to be? We can't just say all the time that we need to find a way for ourselves.
Fair enough. Rapton, I'll give you a chance to respond shortly. Dan, come in and your reaction.
I think for me, I would like to suggest something that I know that a big part of the argument, especially for people that wanted status quo, was that there is a Kenya that's working very well and we just want to increase how much it's working. And I would like to maybe ask them to change that. You see, that assumes, when you take that position, it assumes that it's working for everyone, which we know that it may not. So I would suggest that instead of that, let's try and build a Kenya let's try and start again and begin by doing different things, because that's the only way we'll expand the economy.
How do we start again?
For instance, and this idea of exclusion, right, quote unquote, is that we still have too much that's being called informal. Why is it informal when it's actually somebody's job? So why do we refer to it as informal? It's because government isn't able to effectively support it. And we're discussing during the break for how if you're a tea farmer, there's an infrastructure for tea farming all the way to exports. But if you're a pastoralist, there isn't a similar infrastructure that a pastoralist can use. So if you're a hawker, there isn't a similar way for you to exist. And it's one thing to give people loans. It's one thing, and I think, like I said, it's a great idea. But if there's no bridge, if there's no road to get somewhere, then you have made it very difficult for that person to exist. And I would suggest that things like, you see, those of us that are young are going to be trying new, different things. We're not only going to be accountants or doctors, or we're also going to be expanding the boundaries. So as a business environment, we also have to be open to things that may be new. In the West now, people are building robots. I assure you, if I built a robot in Kenya today, I'd be arrested.
Arrested?
Yeah, because that's the first reaction. People don't know what to do with somebody who's doing something different. There's a gentleman in Nyeri, there's a gentleman in Nyeri who's been trying to build a helicopter. And if you look at the story of that, he was arrested. The first day that thing started to hover, they came and got him. What are you doing? You're trying to commit suicide. Because people are not accustomed to this guy who's trying to do this new thing. And he needs some kind of support that would help whatever he's doing be successful. And maybe that support is not alone. Maybe it's stable power. You know what I mean? Maybe it's a tax system that makes it possible for him to import parts. I know as a musician, the cost of a guitar in Kenya is double the cost of a guitar anywhere else in the world. Because we have a 50% import duty on musical instruments. And if they see the musical instrument as a luxury item, then it's 100%. And so if you want to teach your child guitar, a person in America can buy a guitar for their child for 2,000 shillings. But in Kenya, it's 4, 5 and above. So already you can
verify that.
Yeah.
Okay, that one he has no argument with.
I'll answer.
So this is the kind of thing that needs to be looked at. It's more complex than simply giving me the loan. If you give me the loan for 60k, but I have to spend a lot of it buying the instrument, I'd rather you change the tax system, then I can save my own money.
Yeah.
I'm coming to you, Muthiora.
I remember seeing a message yesterday in a publication that had been circulated during the swearing-in ceremony, and it said, "We have done well." It was like a message between the president and the deputy president, and I would like to tell them, if they are watching, that the only thing they have done well so far is running their presidential campaign. but when it comes to delivering services to Kenyans, and especially the young people, they have not done well. They have an opportunity. Kenyans have trusted them with this chance to redeem themselves. I hope they take it with both hands, and eventually they can say they have done well. Now, the young people are gifted with different talents. Last weekend, our team, Wazito FC, it started a few years back, but then they got promotion to the Premier League. These are very gifted players, and what we need is for them to get the exposure so they can export the talent they've got. Now, this is something that did not exist, but a young person had a vision. His name is Solomon Muyeka, and he believed in it, and right now we are looking to export this new breed of talent to Europe. We want the government to put in place the infrastructure for such talents to be spotted, to be nurtured, to be developed, so that they not only benefit the people who are endowed with them, but they be a gift to the whole nation.
Amen.
Now, you've got an amen here. Let's wind up so that I can bring Rafton in now.
Yes, now, besides that, the only way that this nation can move forward is if we unleash the beast that's in each and every one of us as far as business is concerned. Kenyans are, I would say, they have a spirit that is unrelenting. All they need is an opportunity, and these opportunities abound. Now, it might not be that white-collar job that will get you out of your space. I tried it and I did not go very far. So I want you to go back to your community. Look at the problems there. Fix them. That's how you'll come out of the situation you are in. The government needs to provide that environment. I'm glad yesterday the president lowered the tariffs for the electricity and promised a lot of other goodies. Please, just go ahead and make sure that this is not just empty talk. Deliver, and we'll thank you.
That this is not just empty talk.
I'm glad you spoke of the beast, that we need to let out the beast. Secondly, we're all talking about the loan not being enough. I'm also glad that at least we are talking about loans being handed over to the youth. A few years ago, that was unheard of. So congratulations to the youth fund. But moving forward, there's still a lot to be done. I wouldn't sit here and say that the government also has not had these, shortcomings here and there.
What do you feel have been some of the shortcomings?
Again, I would say with some of the implementers, some of the institutions, some of the personnel dealing with these resources, they have to come to a realization that Kenya is bleeding, and we've got people who are, really grieving, and they feel being left out. Just because when resources come from the national government, it doesn't get to the to the
man on the ground.
You understand? So, but you see, because they don't have a face, they think, I can just manipulate these funds. At the end of the day, the government will take the blame. So for me, that is my only request, that do it as though you are doing it for your own legacy, and that will be okay. Having said that, I'm a musician, and that's why I'm saying I'm for even the informal sectors that is put in it. And let me talk about what I've experienced. Since I was born, I've always loved doing music. And I remember I began this thing. This will be my 20th year, come 2019. 2018, it will be my 20th year.
In the music?
In the music, and I bless God for that. And you know what? Since I started singing secular, we've always been looked down upon. No government in place ever took musicians seriously. You are all witnesses. We've been complaining about MCSK, piracy, royalties, and all that. Until when this government came into play, this is when we're having even the music bill being worked on, and it's going to cabinet to be implemented. And I'm not saying things are looking good, but at least there's a system. As he was putting it, like the farmers, you need to have a chain of how you harvest your profits. That is happening in the music sector. So what are you? Are you an engineer? Are you an entrepreneur? Are you an innovator? Work on that thing. And again, as everyone is saying, I'm not saying that the youth are expecting should I call it free money from the government, but be proactive. Go out there and be the best of what you can be, and I can assure you, if we're going to be there, even then, tafadhali, it's not because that of government or anything. Let's be willing to move forward, knowing that at the end of the day, Kenya belongs to the all of us. The last part of
Okay,
that I got is the two principles again need to agree so that Kenya iende mbele. That's what I can say.
Principles, President Uhuru Kenyatta and
Exactly,
leader Raila Odinga.
exactly.
Okay, Silantoi.
I just wanted to add that I think the business environment in Kenya can be better. It can be improved so that more people can get into either business or even manufacturing. I think at this point we have a really big issue with a lot of importation. So I'll give you an example of like the furniture industry. It's much cheaper to import anything than buy anything that is locally made. Now what is that doing to our local industries? It's definitely killing them. So you see, we can't give people loans to start businesses, maybe to manufacture and things like those,
and then they cannot
and
compete.
then they can't compete with the competing products. So that's something that we can change. If we need to look at the arid lands where the pastoralists come from, there are so many countries that have been able to turn completely arid land into productive fertile land that is producing agricultural things. We have so much money going into irrigation, but we still end up having food shortages and all that. Why is that going about? So you see, if we put our money into better use, if we create a better business environment, even for the people in this country, then we can start talking about lower unemployment rates. We can have more people being able to fend for themselves. So it's not entirely the blame, it's not the youth who are entirely to blame, but it is all of us, holistically, including the government and the policies that we have to create for ourselves, so that we can be able to create better environments for ourselves, so that we can better ourselves.
Okay, fair enough. Let me read a few SMSs before I come to you, Winnie. Someone here, you don't give us your name, but to say not everyone is an entrepreneur, not everyone can run a business. I hope this is not, okay, I don't think I read this one. Giving them funds would be useless. Instead, talk of having a good environment for enterprises to come up to employ. Stop thinking only about finishing school and starting a business. You don't give us your name. Dorothy from Nairobi says, there's an evolving culture of expecting our government to do everything for us. We all need to develop a culture of rights are accompanied by responsibility. Another one here, quite harsh. You don't tell us your name, but you say, why blame the education system whilst the businesses that are doing well have been founded by the same individuals who have gone through the same system? We have to agree that young people are too lazy to wait for an idea to mature and come to life in this time. I see young people on their phones waiting for X and Y jackpots. Isn't this where the problem lies? Take a stroll in social media, Facebook, Twitter, and see what young people are doing with their time. And I think that's what they say is the problem. Silantoi disagrees, but let me first get Winnie's voice in.
Wahiga, what I can say, I agree with some of the SMSs there, that not all of us are entrepreneurs. And what I have kept on saying since the start of this show is, the conditions have to be made favorable. Let's create jobs so that if I've done engineering and I can't thrive in business, I can get a job. Let our skills give us jobs. Let our skills be payable. When you talk about empowering, and this is what I keep on saying, we are not asking the government to give us monies, to give us loans. I'll give you a good example of Lake Victoria. Lake Victoria is dying. We have young people who can do fishing. But now what is the government doing about it? You go to Homa Bay and sometime you stand at the highest building and it's just harshness. It looks like a piece of land. What is the government doing to solve that? Lake Victoria is employing a lot of people who are doing fishing. Instead, we've seen counties like Kirinyaga, where there are no lakes, trying to do fishing. These are some of the problems that we want the government to address. If we can go back to our roots, as we are saying, like you're talking about people who are doing animal husbandry, let the conditions be favorable. We don't want the person who's talking about Generation X and Y on food is because of the jackpots. I think sport pesa and gambling. People are doing that because they don't have jobs, and a person thinks maybe I can gamble, get some money, and which will move me, you know, for this coming month, for the next coming month. Let the government, or rather all of us, holistically, let us come together. We have problems in the society. Let us solve them. Not all of us want this loan. Some of us want to do fishing. Do something on Lake Victoria. Not all of us want to do businesses. Stop killing our animals in Laikipia because that's where our income is coming from. This is totally unacceptable.
You know, actually, honestly, if we have a problem, then why can't we try and fix our problem from different angles? So you see, we can't sit here and say our education system is perfect or completely blame our education system for all the problems, but it has to be, it is an issue. And so this person who is saying that there are still businesses that are thriving, but how many people are not in business? How many people are not in employment? There are a lot more than the people who are in business and who are in employment. So I'm not saying he could be wrong, he or she could be wrong, but we really need to see our problems from other areas. We can't just keep empowering from the top, from the end product, without looking at the whole chain of events that led this person to be where they are.
Let's embrace our differences.
Yeah, let's embrace our
that's the only way to move on. Don't tell me I've done criminology. Don't tell me criminology doesn't have markets. Ebu start here animal husbandry, Ebu do this. No, let us accept our differences. Let us embrace it. Let us agree. The first step to moving forward is we have a problem. We have to come together and solve these problems. This money the government probably is giving the youth for loans can be used maybe to solve these problems, which can create more jobs that are tangible, not the 835,000 jobs you're telling me that I cannot see, which is no offense. I'm not saying there are no jobs. Personally, I can't see.
I was on ground.
No, wait, no, I am not. This is my different opinion.
Let me bring
I am not refusing.
In the last voter registration, IEBC confirmed that young people were a big percentage of new voters that came, into the scene, and we expect that since the last 5 months of protracted electioneering, more young people have achieved the age of 18, etc. So we can see a critical mass of young people that will continue to grow over the next 5 years. What are these young people going to do to agitate for change in their circumstances? Because if the government will not or is unable or say they've already done it and you can't see it, what are the practical ways now that as young people, young people can begin to take charge of affairs of the nation? And let me start with you, Dan.
Yeah, I think that was probably the best statistic from that analysis, that we are over 50% under the age of 30 as voters. So if this administration has problems, we created them. We just need to be in a place of acceptance with that. And then the second thing I think to say about that is that, look, I know that there's this whole narrative of siasa imeisha, siasa of voting in people imeisha, but siasa of keeping people accountable has just begun. So if you don't, it's not actually for us, the people. Siasa is over for the people who've entered office. For us who are not in office, siasa should begin now, because now it should be okay. Now you're in. You said these things were coming. When are they coming? Because if we don't get on that immediately, then 5 years will go, and then siasa will start again, and we haven't gotten anything out of it. So we need to get on the ball right now. Get the number of the MCA, get the number of the MP, get the number of the governor, and just text them at night. I mean, keep them awake. Otherwise, they won't do these things because the comforts of public office. So we just have to get on them right now. So I would urge anyone now, don't defend anything. We have to get all the young people. We have to be
also.
Yeah, no defense anymore. Now we have to be on the attack, and we just have to be on the attack consistently until they achieve the things that they have promised to achieve. So it's a positive. I'm not saying we're killing them. No, it's a positive thing. We have to start keeping them accountable. Otherwise, the time will go away, and we've seen it time and time again. Where time quickly moves and they haven't achieved anything.
Okay, MUTHIORA.
Well, I said earlier that it's the electioneering period that has come to an end. Right now, we are going into a phase where public participation is key if we are to get the services that we are paying for. So, the young people, being the majority in this nation, are blessed to be the most energetic segment of our population. The old people cannot run around, but we can. So we need to hold our leaders true to the promises they made to us. We have to make our suggestions, follow them through, and ensure that whatever budgets are set aside for these projects are implemented to the latter. Let us not compromise on quality. Let us not take anything that's short of what we bargained for. So it's now the season when real work begins. Let's take it seriously. We have to build Kenya. Otherwise, we'll not have a nation tomorrow if we leave it to just the politicians.
Okay, let me pick up on 2 SMSs before I get some reactions to them as well, and shortly I'll be taking your closing statements. Somebody says here, but you don't give us your name. You say about Lake Victoria, there have been a number of youths who have said they'll come up and volunteer on cleaning the lake. The mindset that the 2 ladies have is the same as what 90% of youths have. I cannot be an entrepreneur. I don't know how to start a business. Not everyone is talented with being innovative, and not everyone can start a business. We already have a locked mindset, as clearly seen, that wants a perfect 8 to 5 job that pays millions. From where? I don't know, and I'll give you ladies a chance to respond to that. Another person here, you don't give us your... Oh, sorry, Kamal from Eastlands. I agree with the lady who says we need to relook at our education. We overemphasize grades, but we forget skills. How do you tell an A-grade graduate that farming pays when the punishment in school was to go and farm? Just tell a civil engineer graduate to do a form work on a construction project, and he has no practical skill to do it. I'm yet to hear of any guy who graduated from a polytechnic who is not employed 6 months after graduating. Let's refocus and have education that stresses skills over grades. I like the route C.S. Matiang'i is taking with changing the education system. Ladies, you've been referenced quite a bit by a few of our viewers. I can give you each a chance to respond. Silanto, let me start with you.
Like I said, the youth are different people. And so we cannot be classified as the same people. And so if I sit here and say that if we sit here and say that not everybody can do business and not everybody can be innovative or whatever, that doesn't mean that all of us think like that. We are just speaking for a section of the people who probably feel the same. And so we can't be attacked for speaking for a certain population of people. And secondly, if we as young people want to progress, if we really want to progress, then we have to look at the issues holistically. We can't give one solution for everybody. We just can't. And I just wanted to add on to the point of MUTHIORA for public participation. If there's something that the young people have not taken advantage of, it is this. County budgets are discussed every so often, but you go to those town halls and you find only 2 people in the room. Probably very old men in the village somewhere.
Maybe there's no money for a young person in that discussion. If I go sit there for 6 hours and I don't leave.
But these budgets affect your everyday life. So if you really want to be involved in the affairs of this country, you need to start taking the small opportunities that we've been given through public participation. So we need to be more proactive. Let's not be ignorant. Let's not focus on very minute things. We can start looking at other things. Yes, we can be empowered, but also we need to start looking at our politics side so that we are able to progress. Because if we don't keep our leaders accountable, when it comes to the 5 years, we can't start complaining, and yet we're the ones who voted them in. So yeah, I just want to advise everyone, let's be proactive when it comes to political matters.
Winnie.
The problem with this country, Wahiga, is 50 plus years later, we have refused to accept our differences. Even you try to look at the root causes
political differences, age differences.
No, that's what I'm trying to say. Even when you like to look into the root causes of our problem as a country, if I talk in terms of tribalism, it's because we have refused to accept and embrace and appreciate our differences. That's why a certain people think that they have the monopoly of doing things. As Silantoy has said, it is true. Like, for example, he sings. That's his way of entrepreneurship. I can't sing.
And you don't want him to insist that everyone should sing to earn a living.
Exactly.
You want him to be open. And for example, not that I'm saying
yes,
that that's
for example, that's why I'm saying, as much as we are talking about being open-minded, we have to accept you have something that I don't have. And that's the beauty of it. Our differences. The more we keep on beating people to accept all of us can do this, is where we are having the problem. As I've said, so many things are playing a role in the problems we have in this country. Let us face them. We are in denial so much. We are in denial. The youth want to be given. The youth don't want to work. They want an 8 to 5 job. That's not true. Let us face these problems. Let us solve our problems and move forward as a country. That's the first step as a country to take for us to move forward. Again, I repeat, let us accept, embrace our differences, our different opinions, and let us empower these opinions to move forward. He can sing, he can dance, she's a good medic person, so you want her not to go to the hospital because our hospital arena does not have a space for her, and she'd rather do Bitcoin, which is a time bomb in this country.
Okay, that's not what we're here to discuss today. Let's pick up a little bit on what the president had to say yesterday in his speech, although of course a bit of politics in it as well. Francis Gashuri tried to capture a bit of the message by the president yesterday. I want to run that story now and then get reactions from my guest here in studio even as we wind up the broadcast. Let's have that report now. Even as President Uhuru Kenyatta's bumpy and controversial ride back to State House was affirmed by the Supreme Court and sealed through the swearing-in festivities at the Kasarani Stadium, it is not lost on the incumbent that they had a part just begun, uniting Kenyans and healing a nation that has been divided along political and ethnic lines after the August presidential poll, whose outcome was invalidated by the Supreme Court, and the subsequent fresh contest that was boycotted by NASA leader Raila Odinga.
It was a contest between two competing visions. I believe that those who voted for me chose the better vision. I undertake today to be the custodian of the dreams of all and to be the keeper of the aspirations of those who voted for me and those who did not. I will be president of all.
And all of us, as the people of Kenya, must stand together to say no to hate, to resist ethnicity, to refuse division, and to reject violence.
NASA does not recognize his presidency and has demanded a fresh State House contest preceded by radical electoral reforms.
Today is the 123rd day since we began on August 8th. Today's inauguration therefore marks the end, and I repeat, the end of our electoral process.
Kenyatta prioritizing national unity as he begins his second and last term.
I have begun reaching out to all leaders across the political divide, restating my commitment and expressing my willingness to work with them to achieve this objective of nationhood.
We know very well that there cannot be meaningful development and stability and prosperity if there is no peace. There cannot be peace if there is no justice. And there cannot be justice without the rule of law and the respect of our Constitution. All of us are summoned to work together in that direction.
The president acknowledging the country's political fragmentation, institutional and governance challenges, as well as the feeling of exclusion among supporters of his rivals.
However serious our grievances may be, the law must reign supreme.
His first term in office was marred with allegations of grand corruption and wastage of public resources, a malady he seeks to cure in his second State House stint.
I want today to put the public service on notice. It is not going to be business as usual. I will not allow faceless bureaucrats and functionaries to deny the public the quality of service they deserve from their government.
Kenyatta reaching out to the judiciary in smoothing the path of development and service delivery.
We will engage with the judiciary to address the protracted delays in our justice system and the use of our courts.
With his legacy at stake, Kenyatta's focus areas in the second term include spurring economic growth,
job creation through industrialization, and attracting investment and revitalizing the health and housing sectors. The president also fashioning himself as a Pan-Africanist.
I am directing that any African wishing to visit Kenya will be eligible to receive a visa at the port of entry. Our brothers and sisters in the East African community, from today, you will be treated like Kenyans. Like your Kenyan brothers and sisters, you will only need your identity card. You can now work, do business, own property, farm, and if you wish and find a willing partner, you can marry and settle in Kenya.
If clinching a second term in office is a Herculean task for President Uhuru Kenyatta, then an even bigger challenge awaits him, that of uniting a country fractured by vicious political competition throughout the year. He also has to fulfill the many promises he has made to the Kenyan population, even as he works on his legacy with the exit beckoning in 2022. Francis Bashuri, Citizen TV, Kasarani Stadium, Nairobi. Well, that's a little bit about what the president had to say yesterday. Dan, I said that when we started the discussion, you said it sounded much like the speech he made in 2013. Do you still stand by that argument?
Yeah, it's the same speech. And I think...
Are there specific lines you can reference?
Yeah, specific lines. The line of I'll be president of everybody, it's the same line, exactly that was said in 2013, that I will make sure that everybody's dreams are realized. It's the same, I will reach across. That line is also the same, word for word.
And he said that it's not going to be business as usual.
He also said that line...
You heard that in 2013?
And I've heard that line every year of His Excellency's presidency. There's obviously something going on in the public service that he wants to solve. And I mean, I always come out as a very pointed critic of the president. And I have to explain that. It's because we work in a country, and so everyone has different roles. There are things that I'm supposed to do, and there are things that government is supposed to do. And specifically, the things that government is supposed to do are the things that I cannot do. For instance, I cannot build a road. That must be done by government. I cannot build a school. That must be done by government. I cannot train a teacher. That must be done by government. So or train a doctor. So I'm not ashamed to say that, look, you have to do the things that you have to do because they affect my life.
Responsibility.
Yeah. If there are not enough teachers in the public sector for schools, then I have to take my child to a private school, which is more expensive, which makes my life a lot harder. So that's the way this works. So we've got to really, I don't think we should, I know people are saying, government shouldn't do everything. No, there are things that government should do, because if we start doing them, it becomes anarchy. The reason we are talking very strongly about the police is we can't all be police. The police have to do their job, because if everyone starts to take care of themselves, then it's the law of the jungle. So it's critical that they do. In music especially, our performances depend on security situations 100%. If people feel unsafe, our business suffers immediately.
Okay. Let me get to Muthiyora's take. The president has spoken about being a custodian of dreams, keeper of aspirations, president for all, the law must reign supreme, etc. The deputy president spoke about no to hate, resist ethnicity, reject violence, and of course, just going back to what the president also said, it is not going to be business as usual, and many feel he was referring to, the public service, those working under him, who he feels have, taken advantage. I just want to get your thoughts.
Well, all the things you've said about the president, that he is. Now, from yesterday, I did not vote for him in the two elections, in August and in September, and in October.
I would have been surprised if you did. You had your own presidential candidate.
Yes, but then right now, he's my president. He's Kenya's president, and I want him to execute his duties without fear and without favor. Now, they say that it's only in politics where number two is not good. In life, sometimes it's okay to be number two. And this I'm saying with regards to what people have been talking about. We've been emphasizing that we need to go the entrepreneur way, and a lot of people are saying that's not meant for everyone. But really, the problem here is you don't have a job. You don't have something you're doing. So the second alternative, what do? Do you just sit there and wait for something to happen? You have to get yourself occupied, and that's why we are saying you take...
Okay. Yeah, finish please. Our time is up.
Yeah, so I've said that. Now, I also would like to tell those who did not win in this election that sometimes when you're stung by a bee, it's not wise for you to go destroying every beehive in the village. You need to address just the sting and move on. That's important.
Okay, that's how Karira Muthiora views the situation. I need just 30 seconds from each of you because our time is up. Winnie, we start with you. Just help us wrap this up.
There is something that Muthiora has said, and I want to ask Muthiora this question.
You can't ask him a question. You can only we have gone beyond time.
Okay, now the president says he is the president of everybody. Yesterday he talked about how he will devote all his time to build bridges. As he was saying that at his backyard in Jacaranda, women and the people, rather NASA supporters, who he purports to be their president, were being tortured, were being maimed, were being, being done all manners of things. So now my question goes, what is the government putting in place to ensure everybody is brought on board? What about the people who come from the constituencies that did not participate in this election? Not even one vote was cast. What is the government doing? Or is it just PR stunt for the media, for the international platform, because we had presidents there and nothing is being done? I'm leaving away the youth because the youth form the larger population, so I don't want to just focus on the youth. I want to focus on all Kenyans.
Okay.
What is being put in place to ensure everybody is brought on board?
Okay.
The government should stop being in denial of the evil that is happening and stand with the Kenyans. That's the first step to our healing and moving forward as a country. The unity he keeps on quoting.
Thank you. Fair enough. Silantoy, then Rafton, just 30 seconds each, both of you, please.
Okay. First of all, I'd like to recognize a few things that the government has done before. I mean, there's progress that they have made, but there's still a very long way that we need to go. So I just hope that he's able to keep his word and what he said in his speech. The issue concerning unity, I think it's a very big issue as for now. But I think the only way that unity can come about is if issues are addressed. So it's not about people talking, it's about issues. Let's look at the issues and let's fix them. And we can't keep saying that, we're trying to unite the country, and I'll make a very controversial statement, but your media stations that are affiliated to you are leading in the forefront of hate. They're propagating a lot of hate in the country. So I think that's something he needs to look into with K24 bringing on some people's messages.
They're not going to defend themselves, so I cannot allow you to carry on with that discussion.
And therefore, I really think that if he's serious about the unity, those are some of the things he needs to look into. And then have more people, a more inclusive government, whereby resources feel like they're being distributed equally all across the country, not just in Nyanza or Western, but even in Northern Kenya, in Samburu, where I come from, in places like Northeastern, where people are very poor, and this is because of lack of services from the government.
Fair enough. Rafton?
Okay, yeah.
Making a lot of heat, I think it's only fair you get the last word.
Exactly.
But briefly, please.
Briefly. To the young people out there, you've heard my panelists, and all they're telling you is we are not all entrepreneurs, we are not all innovators. For me, I will tell you, don't expect a handout from any institution, not only the government. For me, as my learned friend put it there, at times number 2 is as good as number 1. Because as we speak right now, you are jobless. I will encourage you, go to any youth enterprise fund office with a proposal and get that loan and do something. Maybe what you need to do is to empower and guide and counsel on how they can use their loans. But again, I will tell you, don't sit back and expect the government just to come to you. You'll die a poor man. I've done that myself. I'm telling you what I'm already implementing.
What has worked for you?
What has already worked for me.
Okay.
So to His Excellency, I will tell him again, congratulations about what happened yesterday. But again, as you put it, as Dan is complaining, yes, go hard on the public sector for the sake of the people on the grassroots. God bless you.
Fair enough. I think that's a good way to finish this discussion. Thank you so much to everyone who tuned in. We have gotten a lot of SMSs. Young people from across the country. I don't have time to read all of them because it's time now for Cheche. But many thanks indeed for tuning in to the Young Turks, a show where we go away from the norm and bring in youthful commentators to talk about the state of the nation and the future of this country. My name is Wahiga Mwaura. We take a quick break. Hussein Mohammed is up next with Cheche.